And this sparked from this. I want to do a separate video on this topic. We're talking about stochastic terrorism. It's a big topic right now. What that really means is the same. It applies to the doxing thing. So if you say that the person was doxing Elon and they shouldn't have free speech, then you can say that argument about libs of TikTok. You can say libs of TikTok is posting this and there's nothing illegal about her speech, but it poses a threat to a marginalized community. It should be banned. It's the exact same comment. Somebody posting someone's location like that, as long as it's legal, I'm not a lawyer, as long as it's legal, then it's not the act. The act is somebody doing something with it. Same argument. So you have to be careful where you are, or you don't have to be consistent, but if you're on opposite sides there, you're inconsistent. So James Lindsay's just talking about this article that's talking about the importance of stochastic terrorism. My reply to that is, the celebration event to institutionalizing stochastic terrorism was the AJ trial. I agree with James on the serious nature of this in vogue accusation of stochastic terrorism, but I disagree with James on the solution. Let me go back to his thread and see if I can find. He ended with the solution, so I can tell you what I'm disagreed with. He said his solution. Let me see here. Sorry, what was his solution? Okay. So he talks. He's predicting a George Floyd event, but with the drag identity or whatever identity, which I agree. That's probably what's going to happen or could happen. James Lindsay says the most powerful thing you can do to break any possibility of a drag Floyd, that's a great term, drag Floyd, operation from succeeding is pointing out repeatedly that they're trying hard to make one happen, how that can be known and how it works. So he's saying that the solution to prevent a drag Floyd event from happening is making it hard to make it happen, telling people that it is going to happen before it happens. And no, James, that's not. James is great. Please don't get me wrong. I just hate this thing where it's like, I disagree with you on this thing and people just run to, oh, it's beefer. Or, that's not what it's about. He's just wrong. That's not a solution. That's not going to stop it from happening. I'm not even going to argue that. It's good to point out. It's valuable information, but that's not a solution. So I said I agree with him on how serious this is, but I disagree with James on the solution. Here's my threat. The answer is to make personal connections with people outside of your echo chamber. We right now are in an echo chamber. It's online. If you are not subscribed to what you see you turn on any of the major outlets on the TV, CBS, ABC, NBC, PBS, all of them. If you don't agree with what they're saying, then you're in an echo chamber because there is no other place. There's no people getting together in person, in a significant way talking about it. It's all online. Everything online is done by big tech. That's why the doxing thing is a big thing. Either it's legal or not. The company should be a public utility. There should be nothing with the company that's private. There should be no possibility of the government calling Elon Musk, which that is a possibility right now. It should be public. And so we know that, hey, here's how I can reach people outside my echo chamber. That's the real reason the algorithm is private. They don't want you to know how to reach people outside your echo chamber. And so if you want to know online if somebody is reaching people outside their echo chamber, it's if they have more views. This is just a very general way to describe it. If somebody has more views on a video than they do subscribers, then they have potentially reached outside their echo chamber. That's a good way to gauge it. That doesn't happen very often. It's very controlled. So on Rumble, I reached outside my Rumble echo chamber with 200 followers and the video had 1,800 views. That doesn't happen for me on YouTube. And I'm not blaming YouTube. I'm just saying, or Twitter. It doesn't happen very often. There is no solution to this bind we're in without sacrifice. Carrie Lake said it. And people didn't really rally and cheer it. She said, basically, what are you willing to sacrifice? If somebody's giving you a solution without some sacrifice from you, then they don't have a solution here. How could you possibly think We're going to get out of the bind we are in our country with Yaz queens being invited to the White House without you making sacrifice. It's not going to happen. It's just impossible. That means you're lazy. That means you think you're entitled to your freedoms, which you are not. They may be given to you by God, but you need to fight for them as people, figuratively speaking, because obviously man can get in the way. So if anybody's telling you a solution to this problem without sacrifice, they are out in left field somewhere. James Lindsay is amazing, but to my knowledge, he is an atheist. And I mean that in no disrespect, which means because we align on a lot of things. He does new disclosures. He's just unbelievable dude. But what that means is his part in this informational battle is crucial. But and I'm not sure if this would happen or not. I just would not expect him to come up with the solution. It's an anti-God movement. What I just showed you with the Ponzi scheme, what I just showed you with the Yaz queens and children, just straight up debauchery, stealing children of their innocence, something that is clearly demonic and of the devil. The solution to that has to be of God, period. If you don't hear that from someone, and I don't, not even believe, for me, I do believe Christ is Lord, but I don't even think that needs to be in the equation. You just need to believe in a higher power. I'm not some theologist, I'm not an expert in religion, but that's just the basic breakdown. You cannot fight an anti-God movement. The One Earth government is an anti-God movement. You cannot fight an anti-God movement without God being a part of it. That doesn't make any sense. So it doesn't mean that James Lindsay doesn't have a role. It's not beef. I'm just saying that's why I like Young Fury. That's why I like some of what Ye's doing. And if James Lindsay said this might be right, sort of. Maybe I don't want to get off on this tangent. I haven't even read that whole thread there, but I did reply to him and say, just to make sure, no disrespect, you're that dude. Faith in God is the solution, but that's not specific enough. That's too general. That's not an answer. God is not, we have responsibility on earth. God is not our responsibility for our actions. Faith in God will drive our actions to the solution. So faith in God is a good start. What are the actions? And this is why I called out Ye. I don't have a problem. Ye can say whatever he wants to say. I'm not denouncing him or anything. But here's where my problem is. If your faith in God leads you down a path to unnecessarily making enemies, then it isn't productive to me. I'm not pretending to know God's plan, so maybe God has a plan for Ye to be a martyr. I don't know. But from my point of view, he is unnecessarily making enemies, and I'm not for that. That's the problem I have with Ye. Not anything he said. He can say whatever he wants to say. He never said anything condoning violence or anything like that. I have no problem with what Ye said, other than the fact is, you're making enemies to what end? Faith in God has to lead us to connect with people outside these designed echo chambers so that you can become a human again in the eyes of your political and social enemy. The only way stochastic terrorism works is if you look at the other person on the other side of the room or on the TV screen as an evil person that should be locked up. The only way that works against Libs of TikTok is because she is not a human being to many people. She's an avatar she's like a punching bag. She's not a person. She's an avatar of a target practice in a gun range. She's not a human being. She's a cutout of a person. If you don't look at your neighbor like you look at, if your neighbor has the same views of Libs of TikTok and you and your neighbor interact, you don't look at your neighbor like that, even if you disagree. That's the danger of going to a virtual world. Big tech funnels everything and divides the conversation. And now you look at people as political enemies. You have to be able to say, I am not your enemy. We can disagree and I'm not your enemy. Stochastic terrorism, as we're seeing it today, isn't possible within small communities. It's impossible. say you live in a small town of 500 people. I pass through these towns on the way to rural areas at least once a year, maybe a couple times a year. And you pass the sign that says town of 1,000 people. It is impossible to manipulate people into believing this cause of stochastic terrorism in a small community. Everybody knows each other, they live together. You can't do it. You can do it online though, because there is no community. Your echo chamber is your community. Alex Jones is the enemy. Joe Rogan is the enemy. Tim Pool is milquetoast as a bag of Wonder Bread. He's the enemy. He's some radical. Because you don't live next door to him. Stochastic terrorism only exists because we don't know, respect, trust, or see each other as humans. It does not go away until that changes. In fact, the concept will only get stronger.